Now, Tony, how often do you go to a home and do an energy audit and find very little to upgrade?
Not that often. There's a lot of people that will call us in that they've done work themselves or had an energy audit years ago, and we're checking to see if their furnace that they didn't replace then was now at the time to replace. But a lot of times, most homes are built to code, and code is the minimum level set by the EPA and the Department of Energy. And there's different performance ratings you're going to get out of different building materials, and there's things that are not looked at as an energy efficiency need upfront as new construction. So if you're trying to make it more efficient, there's always something that can be done for reducing excess airflow, adding more insulation in the attic spaces, things that will actually reduce your heating and cooling loads and be able to make comfort changes. So there's a lot of homes have the ability to make more energy savings, and we often get the homes or talk to people at home shows that say, well, my bills aren't that high, but they can still be 15, 20, 25% less, and that would be good.
Yeah. You know, when originally, because my home is like, I don't know, 15 years old, 12 or 15 years old.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I thought for sure I was going to need a new heating and cooling unit because a lot of the problems I was having was, you know, the level of comfort in the home. It wasn't, I mean, the bills, were high, but it was more a comfort thing. It would be too hot upstairs, too cold downstairs, that kind of thing. And I thought maybe my air conditioner wasn't sized properly, because I know sometimes that can happen as well. It is a bigger home I'm trying to cool, and I didn't know what the problem would be. But I found it very interesting that when you came in and did the audit, that you said prior to replacing anything, the first step would be to put the insulation and the air sealing in, because I could get a bigger furnace, but if the air's not sealed, it's just going to go out the door, so to speak, or out, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And we see that a lot of times, whether they're newer homes and they think they're going to try and go after their builder because they've undersized equipment, or they just think they had the wrong sizing, or people put an addition on in the past and they say, well, the heating contractor said it should be enough, but it's not working the way it should. Well, when people tie into homes or make changes or don't have insulation where it should be to create a proper thermal and pressure envelope, you're going to have excess loss that'll really change the comfort in those rooms. And we're seeing that now as we get to these high 80-degree days where they're not cooling down the house like they thought they should.
Okay.
And
in Brenna's case, just because I'm familiar with it, her house literally didn't have insulation in several spots that needed it. It should have had, right?
Right.
Around her heat ducts on the outside walls and stuff? I mean,
there were heating ducts going through unconditioned space out in those knee walls, as well as those walls weren't insulated at all either. So,
oh, wow.
So they had voids and openings to the outside. So they had insulation on some of the planes, but missing it in other areas, which made the whole space unconditioned, which really changed the temperatures.
And her house was uncomfortable in hot days and uncomfortable in cold days all the time. I mean, not all the time, but, you know, in those extreme days, it was noticeable.
Significant.
Yeah. And that's disappointing for a house that's about 10, 12 years old. It really is. It burns my you-know-what. You guys want to get me going this morning?
Yeah, you want to get me going this morning? I bought the dang house.
You live in the dump.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful now, by the way. It is noticeable for me as a guest. Going to her house, it's noticeable. So what the work you did is really top notch. I mean, I can't.
It is true. Yeah. I should say to our listeners that are probably gathering that you came to my house and did the home energy audit, and then I did choose to go through your company to get some of the recommended work done, and I did take advantage of the tax credit as well, which you helped me with. Thank you very much. But I should point out that you did the work at the end of the summer last year.
Yes.
And we had been suffering with this ridiculous amount of heat upstairs that we just couldn't cool for anything. And within a day of you leaving, you could tell the difference. Yeah. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Well, I remember you telling me that bonus room / office and workout room wasn't usable more than half of the year.
Exactly.
Once the temperatures change, and you didn't care when your husband was working out because it didn't matter on the temperature. But for you to be in there and working, it just wasn't working.
I couldn't even type. My fingers would freeze in the winter.
Yeah. It was awful.
It was.
In the summer, it was brutally hot. That bonus room was awful. But now it's just pretty much comparable to the rest of the house now, right? I mean, it's comfortable.
You know, it's still above the garage, and it still isn't exactly the same temperature as the rest of the house, but it's it's usable. I mean, it's not,
Right.
I'm not going to lie and say, oh yeah, you know, it's perfect. But it's fine. It's livable. It's doable. It's much more comfortable. I have my mom in the home now, so she can use that as, you know, her so now it's a workout room / office / living room for grandma.
Yeah.
But it's all good. But it's definitely, I could use it as a bedroom. I mean, that would definitely add the 5th bedroom to the home had I want to use it that way, for sure. So it did work out really well.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, like you were saying, it's not perfect. Bonus rooms over garages, by not having the conditioned living space underneath it radiating up, and you have more cold surface spaces to the outside, and you have your slopes there, which just can't be insulated as well as the attic space above the rest of the house.
But at least you can feel the air conditioning from the vents. I mean, before when you know you have the vent coming, and I'd be blasting this $350 a month air conditioning up there, and you couldn't even feel it. The air was hot by the time it got to the register.
Wow.
Well, one of the other things we did find out during the auditing with the infrared camera was we did see that one of your ducts were disconnected behind there and saw the blast of airflow going up. So the guys did connect that one, reconnect that when they were in there. So.
It wasn't me.
Yeah.
I did not build my own home. Folks, we got to take a quick break. 222-6397 is our number. We are Property Source Radio on Sports Radio 950 ESPN. When we come back, we are going to give away tickets to the Homerama coming up in Penfield, August 14th through the 22nd. We still have an energy audit to give away as well, so stay tuned.